Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Feng Shui Talks. This is episode 11, and I'm so excited because we have a special guest. Kara Melendy is going to be joining us this evening to talk all about the Akashic Records. And if you are in my community, you know that I kind of work in between the spiritual world and bringing that into the physical. So really excited to bring Kara into this discussion. Focused on the spiritual side. So it's a really wonderful opportunity for you joining in to learn all about the Akashic Records with Kara. Hi, Kara.
Hey Jess, thank you for having me. Excited for this.
I'm so excited to have you here and joining myself and joining this amazing community here on Instagram. I was, as I'm preparing for tonight's episode with yourself, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like how do I even do an introduction to yourself and our relationship? Because Kara and I have known each other, gosh, it's been over 10 years.
My
We
goodness.
met, yeah, we
Wow.
met on the same day that I met my husband. It was actually at your home.
Yes, that's
And I feel
right.
like so much has shifted in my own life from
Mm.
that day on. And whenever we get together, it's always so magical, and it's always such like pivotal moments I find in my life and in my career.
Mm.
Kara and I are really great friends, like on a personal side, but I've also worked with Kara in a mentorship program for my spiritual business, and she's helped me immensely connect into my intuition, and also knowing or just that guidance on creating a really fulfilling business and spiritual business as well. So that's a little bit of an introduction. Would you like to introduce yourself in your own words?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Jess. Our connection is so special, and I can't believe it's been 10 years, but that makes sense. It's been a while. It's been
Yeah,
amazing to see how we've both like grown and evolved in that time. Absolutely.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
special. Yeah, so I'm a Master Astrologer, Akashic Records practitioner, cosmic business coach. So I really love helping people work with cosmic intelligence. And I'm so excited to share more about the Akashic Records today, and even looking at accessing the records of your home, which I know would work
Yeah.
beautifully with Feng Shui. Like that just goes together incredibly well. So yeah, really looking forward to our discussion and just seeing how that flows together, because there's no
Yeah.
doubt so much magic when you combine Feng Shui and then knowing how to open the records of your home, because not only like every person has their own unique records, which is their energetic blueprint, the unique journey of their soul, but homes and properties have records too, which is incredible. So do crystals. And
Yeah.
that's like their own journey, right? And when we access that, it's incredible how we can like deepen that connection there.
Right. Absolutely. That's amazing. And I mean, I love to kind of pinpoint us on the map so that those who are tuning in, because odds are we've got a global audience and community here. So I'm in New Brunswick, Canada, and
Mm.
Kara is in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. So we're
Canadians.
about, yeah, we're both Canadians. We're both on the
Yeah.
east coast of Canada, and we're about like 4 hours apart. So driving
Mhm.
wise, anyway. So
Yeah.
so if you're looking, we're like the Atlantic Ocean and in that area as well. Um,
Mm.
for those joining in who may be new to the Akashic Records, what is the Akashic Records? I know you
Mhm.
briefly touched on the blueprint of our soul's journey. Could you explain it just a little bit
Of
further?
course, yeah. So the Akashic Records basically hold the codes to existence. So it's an energetic realm we all have access to. There's a certain way and process I open the records with,
Mm,
and but every practitioner may have their own way of doing that. But yeah, so it's basically the codes of existence. For people, it connects us to our unique journey of the soul, our unique soul blueprint, and it's so powerful for being able to like rise above the ego and fear mind. Like when we talk about the Akashic field, it's the space of infinite potential and pure possibility. So when we learn to access and play in that space, so many doors open up for us. So many different things become possible in our life. That it's incredible. I've helped so many people, and seen this in my own journey too, access the records and experience these incredible quantum leaps and quantum expansion, because time is also experienced differently in that space as well. So if we're looking at homes and the records of homes, that's like the energetic blueprint of that property and of that space that you're able to tap into. And when I'm working with people, I get them to use, or I use their full name to open their Akashic records. So usually bringing it back to like, what's the name on your birth certificate to open and access that space. So if we're working with properties, it's looking at using the address of that property to open that space. And if you own the property, you have that permission to open and access records. But say it's someone else's property, you would have to ask permission to be able to open and access. And then if it's a public property, you can access and open the records, but usually energetically tuning in first and just getting a sense of, okay, can I access the space? Do I have permission to access the space? And that would be similar with animals as well. If we're opening the records of animals, just to get that energetic permission really shows that sense of respect, right? But I also know in the realm of the Akashic Records, we're only going to access what is meant to come through anyway. So that's really important to keep in mind as well. What's also really neat for any entrepreneurs that are watching, your business has its own unique records as well. It's its own unique consciousness and energy. So it's amazing as an entrepreneur when we learn to access that space. Like we're tapping into so much knowledge, so much wisdom that we are meant to be a channel for. Does that explain it a little bit more?
Absolutely. I love that. And I love too how you touch on looking at the soul of a home and property in the sense, because the way that I perceive that as well, and through Feng Shui, my Feng Shui training and knowledge, and even working with clients too, is looking at the birth of a home. And the birth, we say, is when not necessarily even that the home is being built, but the whole process, once it's conceived, the whole idea, the conception of the building. So it's this really unique process and opportunity to really explore its life path and where it's going. And so knowing that we can tap into this infinite potential when looking to design a space, but to flow in that space as well. And it's fascinating to look also at like the owners that homes are attracting into their space as well. And I see that very much in a similar way with our own soul's consciousness and our business conscious. I mean, it's also reflective of one another, which is incredibly powerful when like we can tap into that and kind of step into a higher potential or a higher vibration and in alignment with that too.
I love that. Absolutely. It's like we're all our own unique entities and energies, but we're meant to co-create and dance together, right? So with like the records of our business, we are not our business, but there's definitely lessons we can learn. I always say like our business is a vehicle for growth and evolution in our life, right? It'll often cause us to, or invite us to look at every fear or limitation we have in order to move through it. And I think with the property and home, it's like we feel drawn to certain places, right? We feel drawn to certain homes. Even if you think of when you're looking to buy a home, like there's an energy and a connection that's there when you find the right one for you. So I do see it as that co-creative dance and looking at what can I add to this space and this property, right? Why am I interacting with it? But also what can I receive from this space? And it's really amazing when we find a place that we can grow with us, right? It just feels really like magical for sure.
Absolutely. It's so interesting because when I look at our home that we're in now, and we've been here for 6 years, and when we came to the property the first time, we did our walk around and we just knew it was exactly the home meant for us. The home had not, or our home had not gone out onto the market. It was just like the easiest process as well, which
Yeah.
just felt like such a beautiful confirmation of the decisions and choices we were making as we were going through the whole process. And it's been like through 6 years of, and even of like understanding feng shui from different perspective, and through further knowledge and training and education and experience and all of the things, that I'm like, oh, I get why I was so drawn to this property, and you know, the shape of the land, and you know, the lake that's out in front of our home, and this incredibly expansive view that it offers. It's just, there's so much. And throughout these past 6 years of developing and cultivating the property, and really working with the energy of the space, it's just blossoming and blooming. And henceforth, same for our family, and same for myself, and same for my business. It's just, it's incredible to see those correlations and to flow with that as well.
Absolutely. I love that. And I know in feng shui, each area has like a different energy, right? Like there's a wealth corner and the relationships. And if we open the records of the home, we can begin to explore that more too. What is the energy of this space, and how can I nurture this space, and even have it be supportive if we're looking at increasing our wealth, right? What can we do to bring that energy into our space as well? And how can the space we're in support us with that? And wherever we are, right? Like maybe there's some people that will be watching this that feel like they're not in their dream home or their dream space. There's still so much there for you. And accessing the records, and no doubt working with feng shui, can help you make that feel more like home, and get the lessons that are there for you, right? In that space, and what it wants to provide you with. So it's beautiful when we can see it in that way. Like, okay, I'm here for a reason. How can I make this space beautiful? How can I make this feel very supportive for me, right? And that's so powerful as well, because it is so linked to our manifestation. And I know even making changes like you've suggested in my home has been huge, right? Like I've noticed more abundance coming in since I've had my crystal grid at the front door, and just keeping that space clear, right? So even in, you know, the Akashic Records, I'll hold that intention, and even just ask for guidance. What can I do? What changes can I make to help this feel supportive in manifesting these goals and achieving these goals?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. And that's the thing too. And when because I've experienced the Akashic Records from a formal setting, and with yourself, of course. And it's felt like such a very familiar experience and familiar territory. And it's just the feeling that I get when in this space is very warm, welcoming, inviting, gentle, supportive, like loving, like so much love. And so for those, again, who have maybe not had this experience, stepping into this space, what would be kind of the best way to maybe not describe the experience? Because I think into each person, it may come very differently, or how they experience it for sure. But I guess, how could you explain that whole process, and linking, like stepping into this field of infinite potential?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I always do like a meditation to enter that space. So getting really grounded, I think anytime we do spiritual work is really important. So taking time to ground into the energy of Mother Earth, to appreciate our human experience, and then also connecting into the higher realms. So I really like to bring both together. If we're working with like the chakra system, another way to see that is like grounding into the Earth Star chakra and the Soul Star chakra. So making sure we have that really solid supportive foundation, and then we're also like detaching from the ego, the fear mind, which is a big part of it, right? It's not having the attachment to our human self or the persona we've taken on coming into this physical body, but to realize who you are beyond that. So connecting into your higher self. And when we enter that space, many people talk about that feeling of coming home, that feeling of love. And it is a place of unconditional love and non-judgment. So anytime we enter that space and there is judgment coming in any way, you know that is the ego. And that's okay. That's part of our human experience, but we can set that aside and ask that we realign, right, to our higher self and the highest potential. So simply being in that energetic space and realm, and I know it's very abstract, right? Without experiencing it, I know all of this feels very ethereal and very abstract, but at the same time, I've had many people say similar to you, before even working in the records, and then I take them through a process, it feels very familiar. And it's not uncommon that people have accessed that without even intentionally accessing that. And that can be through different forms of meditation, different forms of energy work, where they've felt like, yeah, I've accessed wisdom in this realm and in this space. But it's always an element of healing that's going to occur, and always an element of realigning to your higher self and your soul path. And there's a little bit of a distinction there in terms of like the Akashic field, which the Akashic field is the space I'll call infinite potential, pure possibility, right? Very similar to the quantum space, where everything becomes possible, right? There's many different timelines, many different paradigms of reality, and it's all about, what do I want to lock into and call in? And in the records, we can really feel into what is the highest timeline and possibility for my life. And we can begin to calibrate to that. And that's where people see incredible shifts unfolding in their business, in the money that they're making, aligning to their soul path, because just being in that space will do that for you. And when we talk about the records is more the blueprint. So you can do lots of powerful work in the Akashic field, and then you can access your records. And this is where you can gain information on past lifetimes that you've lived, which is really fun to explore. You can explore future possibilities, why your soul incarnated. Like, there's lots that you can do and explore, right? And that would also be like, say you're opening the records for a country, you can do that as well. Or again, a home and a property, and really gain deeper information. And when I say a blueprint as well, it's not like you'll necessarily open and hear word for word what you're supposed to be doing. There's different ways we receive information in that space. So for some people, it's very visual. Like, you may see symbols. Symbols is the language of the subconscious. So it's not uncommon for people to see these beautiful symbols or crystals in the space. For other people, it's just an inner knowing. So you know how we can talk about the different clairs, like clairvoyance, claircognizance. In the space of the Akashic Records, information usually comes through in a way that you're ready to receive. In the path of least resistance. So if you tend to be a very kind of clairvoyant gifts day to day, very visual person, you're likely to receive information in that way. If you tend to be more empathetic and you just feel things, you'll likely receive in that way too. So that's often the way that information will come in. It's very subtle, at least initially. But the more you work in that realm, the more that you can fine tune those skills and gifts as well.
Wow. Yeah, that's so powerful. I'm definitely a visual person, hence how I've journeyed into working with design and space. And it's clear too, I find, with individuals, when they're able to really, like, when I'm describing a change or recommendation or suggestion, and they're like, oh, I can see it. I can see it already happening. Like, I can see it in my space. It makes total sense. And then I'm with others as well that are like, nope, can't visualize it at all. And so I find it's very interesting how, like you say, like, we have that familiarity generally with one of the clairs. So clairaudience, clairsentient, clairvoyant. I mean, there's the many.
So many.
So many.
More all the time.
I know. And that's it too. And I think the more that we experience them, and even like tap into the different clairs, we're able to then receive more information and guidance in different channels and different forms, which is amazing and so fantastic. How would the Akashic Records then, and looking at our blueprint, link with astrology and like our birth charts, for example? Because I had a beautiful birth chart reading from yourself many years ago that I still go back to all the time. All the time.
Wow. They work beautifully together, and they're both very complementary. So they both point to our unique soul blueprint. What I love about astrology is it makes it a little more tangible,
Right.
which is helpful as well. So you can actually see your birth chart, and you can see the location of the different planets and the different signs, the relationships they're making. So in combining two, it's so powerful when we can open the Akashic Records, be in that space, and then explore someone's astrology, because it just brings even more downloads and insights around how these energies are working together. So in both places, whether you're opening your records or you're looking at your astrology, it's your blueprint, right? So it's just going to be different ways of exploring that. And I right, it's still our energy. And I mean, other techniques too, like numerology, right? Human design. There's all these beautiful ways of sustained energy. It's just different ways of understanding it and exploring it. And I appreciate all of those. And the one thing I love about astrology is it is so detailed and specific. And usually I'm not like an overly detailed person or anything, but when it comes to like this type of stuff, humans are so unique, right? Each of us is so unique, and astrology captures that beautifully. Like it captures the different aspects of our personality and how they play out together. And the records just adds insight to it.
I see them as being very complementary to one another.
Very complementary, they are, right? Because astrology, I mean, yes, there's core pieces where you need to understand the planets, what they represent, the signs and what they represent. Like you need those core foundational pieces, and understanding are going to be the same. But once you have those, it becomes very intuitive as well in terms of how is this playing out for this person at this time. And I always like to look at the energies, whether it's in someone's birth chart or what's happening in the collective now, in the midst of eclipse season, Mercury retrograde. There's so much going on.
There's a lot going on right now.
It's like, how can I work with these energies in the highest expression? Because with any of them, there's like a lower octave of expression, a shadow side, or there's the higher octave, the highest potential for it. And of course, I love to help people align to that while being aware of how it can play out in the shadow energies too. And that's where the records can just add even more insights around how those work together and come together. But it's really, really fascinating for better understanding who we are, right? They both offer us alignment to our path and purpose. They'll awaken our intuitive gifts. I mean, I love business, so these tools are key for that as well.
Absolutely.
I don't know if we froze for a second. Can you still see me okay?
I can see you, and I could hear you like the whole time. So we're all good.
Okay.
For sure. Yeah.
Maybe it's just on my end for a second. But so both of these tools work so wonderfully too for helping people expand their business by finding, okay, what's my unique magic? What's the message I'm here to share? What's my unique cosmic code and manifestational style? So there's just so much information we can get from it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lana, from Shui Services. She's like my Feng Shui sister is how I always describe it. On the other side of Canada too. And so we touched briefly too on business expansion. We talked a little bit also about wealth and abundance, and really like bringing this into our life, and just even opening up to it. Now you do have an event coming up next week that I definitely want to share, or make sure that we've got some time to discuss, because I think it's super valuable, and I'm signed up for it. I know Lana from Shui Services, she's signed up to it as well. Right. And there's a few other friends that I've messaged personally and said, I think this is going to be in perfect alignment with yourself and your business and life. So I was wondering if you could explain that a little bit more as well, or just an introduction to it. But I know it's a 3-day free mini series on Facebook.
It is a 3-day free mini series on wealth energetics for the soul-led entrepreneur, and this is something I'm so passionate about teaching on as well. And in these sessions and this time together, I'm going to help people clear and release some old karmic patterns and limitations that have been attached to money. And some of these we are consciously aware of, right? Some of them we know, like different beliefs we have around money, like it's hard to make money. should I make money while I'm doing my spiritual work? Money is evil. In some of them we're conscious of, others are very deeply ingrained. So I want to help clear that out and actually align with an energy of wealth that is in the highest and best good for every person involved. Because in the old paradigm, I mean, money and wealth have been attached to manipulation, power, misuse of power, a lot of unhealthy things. But in the purest sense, and this is also what I've received from the records, in the purest sense, wealth is our birthright. Wealth is just an overflowing of abundance. And we do deserve to receive abundantly for the work that we're doing in the world and to value the work we're doing. So this mini series really focuses on that. There's the clearing element, and then there's the activation element too, of activating the energy and frequency of wealth in your life. And I'm going to channel these from the Akashic Records. So I'll tune into the Akashic Records and then share this information as part of the mini series. And then it's also going to be, so there's 3 days total. On the final day, really helping entrepreneurs look at how can I open up to receiving more for the work that I'm doing in the world, and releasing any guilt and shame around that, and just seeing it as a beautiful exchange and energy. And it is a free mini series. So definitely worth it if it's speaking to you and you're like, all right, I want to learn more about wealth energetics and do some clearing and activation. It's going to be really powerful.
Absolutely. Wow. And I find that so powerful. Certainly working within this realm, working with yourself in this whole, like the wealth and abundance, and really opening up for receiving more. The way that I've describe this to in workshops myself is that wealth is energy. And so when we are opening ourselves up to receiving more energy and positive energy, we're opening ourselves up for that potential for more wealth and abundance in the form that you receive abundance as well. So that's really quite fascinating. But especially for a soul-led entrepreneur, I mean, the more money, the better, because then that reach expands, and it's just fueling that passion, that purpose, that driven centeredness, heart centeredness, which is so vital and so important to all of us. But I would say, certainly in this realm with a big heart, it can be easy to kind of close off in receiving wealth. So having these opportunities to really expand and open up is just so incredibly valuable and powerful for the world, our families, our business, the world. Yeah.
It is, absolutely, right? And wealth has many different forms. So we're going to be tapping into that frequency. So yes, receiving financial wealth, but being in that energy of overflow, being in that energy of abundance. And that really is how we're meant to show up and live, right? Otherwise, ego and the fear mind, and we're holding ourselves back from the wealth and abundance that is available to us. So I'm just so excited for this. And it is so important, because also when big-hearted humans have money, they circulate it in ways that make this world a better place. They're very intentional about how they are spending, right? And that's powerful. We need more of that.
Absolutely. So how will someone be able to sign up for the Wealth Energetics mini-series?
Yes, so they could even just reach out directly to you, Jess, if they like, because I know you have a link where they can sign up.
Yes.
I know on Instagram, I don't know if we can put it in the comments or not, but so maybe best just to reach out to Jess directly, and she has a link that she can share with you, and you can sign up. You'll get an email with all the details, and we start on Monday. So now's a great time to join, but there's still that time. So if you're seeing this later in the week, reach out, because we don't start till the 14th. So there's time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's lovely too, because it's 1 p.m. Eastern time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday as well. So so it's same time every day, very simple, accessible. And for those that are around the world in different time zones, it's a very agreeable time zone or time to come together as well, which is wonderful. And yes, in a way, I'm thinking of Lana too, because Lana's like 4 hours time difference.
Right.
She can wake up to it. Wake up into it. So That's
Yeah, I kept
amazing.
that in mind because I know there's people from all over the
Absolutely.
world that are going to be there. So I'm like, okay, this
Yes.
is a good time that most people have got the UK people covered.
Yes.
Pacific time zone. So most time zones, there will be replays as well. Of course, I
Perfect.
always love when people are able to join me live and be in that energy and ask their
Yes.
questions, but there are replays too. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Then we can get to the other half of the world
Everyone's
as well.
covered. Yeah.
Everyone has access to this information and this free training as well, which is fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me here on Feng Shui Talks,
Thank
Kara.
you.
I was saying, and I do have it here as well, but it's episode 11, which I find, of course, in numerology, 11 is a very special master number. And so I'm really honored and super grateful that you were able to join me here today
I
or
love
tonight.
that. How synchronistic, right? The
Yeah.
11. I love it. Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Absolutely. Awesome. And thank you everyone for tuning in live. And for those catching the replay, feel free to comment below any tidbits or any juicy bits that really resonate and speak to you. And please head on over to Kara Melendy's page as well and give her a like and follow. She's sharing all sorts of information with astrology, the Akashic Records, energy healing, all the amazing things. So if you're here on my page, you're gonna love her content as well. So thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you so much, Kara, again, and have a lovely evening. Bye.